We have now covered enough content to be able to tackle our course project. In this video, I want to give you an overview of what that project is and how to find resources that will help you make this a meaningful project that you will do well on. So from our Canvas homepage, we want to scroll down to the course content icon. And from there, we want to go ahead and scroll to the course project module. The first thing there is an overview. That's just a link to the video you're watching now in case you need to review it. The next thing is the learning outcomes. So I'm showing you how this project connects not only to our specific course goals, but also to the Jefferson College General Education program goals. Then we have the project. So you can download and print a copy if you would like a hard copy from here. The project requires you to collect some data. Now, it can't just be any data. I need it to be data that I can make numeric because we're going to be plotting points on an XY graph. So it has to be numeric. I cannot choose my 10 favorite countries and what their population was in 2020, but I could pick a specific country and look at its population from 1900 to 2020. Maybe in increments of 10 years, 1900, 1910, 1920, etc. How do you get your data? Well, if it's the population example I just used, then I'd probably have to look online for census data. If you look here, it says that women's height and arm span is another possible thing I could investigate. In that case, I might be able to survey family and friends or ask for volunteers in one of my classes. Okay, that's up to you. But you need to collect 8 to 12 pairs of data. We want enough to look for the pattern, but keep it manageable. Now, what are the details for the project? You need to give me an introduction. What did you choose and why? Expected results. What kind of relationship do you expect to find? Do you think it's going to be a linear thing? Do you think it's going to look more like a parabola where it goes up and then comes down, or goes down and then goes up? Or is it kind of exponential where it starts off slow and then just takes off? What do you expect to find? Do you expect it to be a strong relationship? Is this going to be really closely associated, or do you think, probably not going to really matter that much? It's just kind of a guesstimate, but give me some prediction of what you expect. The next thing is the description. This needs to be concise, just a few sentences, but sufficient. I should be able to follow what you write here and repeat your results, or anyone else picking up your paper should be able to mimic what you just turned in, okay, what you just did. If you are using an online source for your data, that's fine, absolutely fine, but give me the specific URL where you found that raw data. There's one really, really important caveat here. You may not use a site that already contains a scatter plot and a regression formula and does that work for you. That's not what I want you to do. That's the purpose of this project. All right, moving on. Presentation. Presentation of data. I want to look for the raw data table. I want to look for a scatter plot. I want to see a regression equation, and I want to see an R or R squared, depending on what kind of model is the best fit. Well, how do you get that? Well, you can go to Canvas and use the computers in the math lab. They all have the TI emulators on there, and the staff, faculty in there can help show you how to capture those screenshots. Or I have posted videos of how you can use Excel, Desmos, GeoGebra to do this stuff online. That's up to you. Or you can go old-fashioned and just do paper and pencil, very neatly drawn graphs and scatter plots. All right, application. Once you have come up with the formula to model the data, then you are going to say, okay, let me pick something within my original data set. So I'm going to go back to the population example. If I chose the population between 1900 and 2020, I might say, let's pick 1980. What would the population have been in 1980 according to my model, that mathematical equation? And then I want to compare that to what the actual data was. And that's going to be part of my conclusion. So the conclusion is, okay, so were your expectations met? How accurate is your model? What does that correlation coefficient tell me? Is it a really good one? Really, nah, maybe not so great? If I would do this again, what would I maybe change? What maybe hasn't it considered? So show me some critical thinking on that one. All right, next thing is the Scory Rubric. We all want to know what's my grade based on. So here I try to very specifically tell you what I'm going to be looking for in each of those items so that you can get maximum points. Then I have a resource sheet that has some of those examples of how do you do this in Excel, how do you do it in these other areas, and just some general information about regression. And then I also included sources of data. So you're kind of at a loss. You don't really have anything you're particularly interested in. Well, maybe check out this Energy Information Administration data. Maybe something there will strike your fancy, or the Disaster Center, or the National Theater Owners Association. There's all kinds of really good information there, and so you can pick from that if you can't figure out something on your own. The next thing takes you outside of Canvas to a playlist that has collected all of the videos that we've done over the course of our course that's related to this. So anything that has to do with modeling. So I put all those together in case you need a refresher. And then we come to this next thing, which is a planning quiz. Okay. It's a quiz. It says it has 2 points, but the points aren't really necessarily going to be added to your grade, and it's not punitive in any means. My point with this is to help get everybody on the right track. I'm just asking you 2 simple questions. What are you planning to research? Where are you going to get your data? And then I'm going to give you some feedback. And so you might get feedback that says, yes, awesome, that's going to work, perfect, source is great. Or you might get feedback that probably won't work for this. Maybe you want to tweak it this way. I will give you feedback. I want you to do well. So I would encourage you to take that quiz and get that feedback. And then the last step is turn in your project. All right, that wraps it up for me. If you have questions, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer anything.